You've heard the wind howl and the rain beat down, probably sought shelter yourself. It's a primal response to the storm's fury, a natural instinct to find cover. And in those moments, as the skies darken and the elements rage, you might notice something. A profound silence. The chirping stops. The rustling in the bushes goes still. And yet, you've probably never seen a single bird flying, not in your backyard, not in the local park, not anywhere. They just vanish. This happens so reliably, so universally, that we barely question it. We simply accept it as part of the storm's arrival. But where do they all go? This is not a small question. This is one of the most commonly asked questions in ornithology and behavioral ecology, and the answer is far more ingenious and far stranger than most people realize. When you consider the sheer number of birds on this planet, the collective disappearance of billions of individuals during a severe weather event presents a staggering puzzle. Studies estimate that roughly 10–15% of all songbirds die in their first year of life, often due to harsh weather. That means that somewhere between 1.5 and 2.5 billion birds face these extreme conditions annually globally. Their disappearance isn't just a quirk of nature, it's a testament to survival mechanisms you wouldn't believe. Stay until the end, because the last thing we cover involves a behavior that researchers have only recently documented, and it suggests that birds may have something that looks remarkably close to what we would call collective environmental awareness. It will fundamentally alter your perspective on what these creatures are truly capable of. So, when the barometer starts to drop and the sky turns an ominous shade of gray, where exactly do these feathered creatures go? It begins with the pre-storm exodus, a strategic repositioning based on acute environmental sensing. Birds are not just waiting for the first raindrop, they are experts at prediction. Their acute senses allow them to perceive minute changes in barometric pressure, fluctuations in humidity, and shifts in wind patterns long before a human ever feels a gust. This isn't just about finding cover, it is about strategic, often communal, repositioning based on acute environmental sensing. Think of it less as a mad dash for safety and more like a carefully orchestrated evacuation. As the storm front approaches, many species will engage in what's known as pressure evasion. This involves flying ahead of the storm's leading edge, sometimes for hundreds of miles, to avoid the worst of its impact. For those who cannot outrun the system, the strategy shifts to finding micro-shelters, dense thickets of thorny bushes, the impenetrable canopy of evergreen trees, the lee side of a cliff face, or even the small, sheltered pockets under the eaves of your own home become temporary fortresses. They seek out places where the wind is broken, where the foliage creates a natural umbrella against the pounding rain, and where they are least exposed to the elements. This is why you rarely see birds openly exposed during a hurricane. They are not flying aimlessly into the wind. They are hunkering down in protected microclimates in places you don't look. They understand, as if by instinct, the physics of wind shear and water deflection. But what if fleeing isn't an option, or the storm hits unexpectedly hard? This is where their incredible biological adaptations come into play. Birds are masters of energy conservation and physiological resilience. One of the primary strategies you'll observe is fluffing their feathers. This seemingly simple action traps layers of air close to their bodies, creating an insulating barrier against the cold and wet, much like a down jacket. It's an internal central heating system, powered by their own body heat. Beyond insulation, many small songbirds possess the astonishing ability to enter a state of torpor. This isn't true hibernation, but it's a close cousin. During torpor, their metabolic rate slows dramatically. This allows them to conserve precious energy when food is scarce and conditions are brutal. This is not a passive surrender to the elements. It is an active, energy-conserving process honed over millennia. Consider a tiny hummingbird, which normally operates at a frantic pace, suddenly becoming almost entirely still, waiting out the storm in a semi-dormant state. Or imagine a group of sparrows huddling together in a dense shrub, sharing body heat, their collective warmth forming a small, living furnace against the biting wind and cold. This communal huddling is another critical strategy, reducing the exposed surface area of each individual and minimizing heat loss for the group. They are, in essence, sharing their survival burden. And then there are the specialized survivors, creatures whose entire existence seems predicated on defying the most extreme weather. Take seabirds, for example. You might imagine them crashing against waves, but many, like albatrosses and petrels, spend their entire lives at sea. During a severe storm, they don't seek land, they ascend. They ride the updrafts, using the storm's powerful winds to their advantage, sometimes flying hundreds or even thousands of feet above the tumultuous ocean surface, where the air is calmer. They become part of the storm, rather than its victim. On land, you have birds like woodpeckers, whose excavated cavities in trees provide dry, insulated shelters, perfect for retreating during a downpour. Swifts are another remarkable example. Capable of flying for months on end without landing, they can simply choose to fly above storm systems, soaring into the higher atmosphere where the weather becomes insignificant, a distant rumble beneath them. This is not a blanket solution for all birds. It is a testament to the incredible diversity of evolutionary strategies. Each species, over countless generations, has developed its own nuanced blueprint for weathering the storm. But there's a third part of this that's less intuitive and more unsettling. It's the idea that birds don't just react individually, they often act with a coordinated, almost collective understanding of impending danger. For a long time, the assumption in avian ethology was that bird responses to weather were largely instinctual and solitary, that they lack the cognitive architecture required to understand environmental prediction on a collective level. The simple, observable fact of individual birds finding individual shelter seemed to confirm this. But research over the past decade has begun to complicate that assumption. We're observing patterns that suggest something far more profound than mere instinct. Studies using micro-GPS trackers on flocks have revealed that many species exhibit highly synchronized movements, hours, sometimes even a full day, before a storm hits. They are not waiting for the first drops of rain, nor are they simply reacting to shifts in pressure that every individual feels. There appears to be a rapid, complex communication, a shared knowledge that prompts a collective retreat. Some researchers have termed this collective environmental awareness. It suggests a level of social coordination and information sharing that we are only just beginning to truly grasp. This isn't a singular dominant bird leading the charge. It's often a decentralized emergent behavior where the actions of many subtly influence the trajectory of the entire group. They are, in essence, voting with their bodies, and their collective wisdom guides them to safety. This phenomenon challenges our very understanding of animal intelligence, hinting at a distributed consciousness that can predict and adapt to environmental threats on a scale we're only now starting to appreciate. Here's what you should take from all of this. The absence of birds during a severe storm in your daily experience is not an accident. It is the result of overlapping evolutionary adaptations, acute sensory perception, and often incredible social coordination. You're just not looking in the right places at the right times. Their sudden disappearance isn't a magical vanishing act. It's a masterclass in survival, happening just out of sight, a testament to the hidden resilience and intelligence that permeates the natural world. Open your eyes. Observe your environment next time a storm rolls in. Tell me in the comments, have you ever noticed birds behaving strangely or disappearing right before a big storm? I want to hear about it. I read everyone. I'll see you in the next one.